My name's Whitney and I am a trainee solicitor. So I went to university, I studied a 3-year law degree, and then when that was complete, I went to study the LPC for 1 year, and I was then given a training contract. So that's how I got to where I am now. Having sickle cell has led to multiple complications along the way. Throughout education, I had lots of struggles in completing exams, submitting coursework just due to time off due to sickle cell crises, and then following through into the workplace, I've had multiple complications. So my journey into law hasn't been straightforward. When I was deciding my career options, I did question whether going into law was the right decision for me, because I knew that it would be demanding hours and I knew there'd be high pressure. So it definitely made me think twice about going into the career, but I decided to pursue it anyway, and so far, whilst it has had its challenges, it has gone well so far. Fortunately for me, sickle cell doesn't affect me too much on an average day. I do have general sickle cell pain, but thankfully it hasn't been severe enough for me to have to leave work or take too much time off so far. So I'm quite fortunate in that respect. Whilst I'm at work, I do try and take regular breaks, take lunch breaks, as well as kind of breaks mid-afternoon as well, just to make sure I'm trying to take enough rest. And then if any other requirements come up and I think I need to do anything else whilst I'm at work, I'll just speak to my manager or my supervisor to see if maybe I need to leave the office early that day or come in late on a particular day, just to see if I can try and manage my sickle cell better. Having a full-time job whilst having sickle cell hasn't been without its challenges. It has been very difficult at times, and it hasn't always been easy to manage, but it has taken me a few years, and now I'm at a point where I think I can manage it, and it is possible to have a full-time job and successfully manage my sickle cell.
My name is Miriam Kay. I am currently the CEO and founder of the DOA Foundation, which is for youth development and sickle cell support. And besides that, I'm also an entrepreneur and been self-employed for the past couple of years. I've had many full-time jobs, but my first full-time job, I worked for Best Western Hotels. I worked at the reception. That was my first kind of proper experience into the working world. Then I worked for Phones for You as a sales consultant. And then after I finished uni, I worked as a recruitment consultant. Well, I think from the time I was a teenager, I'd always ventured out into entrepreneurship, because I knew in the long term I needed something that was going to give me flexibility and the understanding that I was not going to be able to get from employers, which is not in a bad way, but I just knew that that was the route I wanted to take in terms of employment, that was going to be much more to my advantage.
Hi, my name's Sade and I'm a clinical pharmacist, and I work within NHS hospitals on the wards with patients and other healthcare professionals. Initially, I wanted to be a doctor, like a medical doctor, but I just kind of thought, I don't know if I'll be able to handle with the long standing and like doing the on-call and all the like loads of hours. And then I thought, what's the next best thing? And just thought, let's be a pharmacist, because at least it's a bit more flexible and I can work my own hours if the worst comes to the worst. Even now, I wouldn't go back and do medicine, I don't think. But yeah, I am happy that I'm a pharmacist. I think I made the right choice. I'd say that on an average day, like most days when I'm at work, it's affected in some way by my sickle cell, and like it's in various degrees. Like some days my sickle cell affects it really bad, to the point where I either won't go in or I have to get sent home early, or I work in a hospital, so sometimes I have to go from my department to A&E. But other days it will just affect me in the sense that instead of standing up all day, I'll sit down.
My name is Angela and I am a financial administrator and future training solicitor. I went to university, I did a straight law degree and then I've been working ever since. Yes, firstly would be university, so getting the degree I need to go into my career. I had various sickle cell crisis episodes, and that just affected my studies, how even exams and things like that. And then going into the workplace, those sickle cell flare-ups, these crises, also affected my working as well, where I would have to have time off. That was something that was a bit unheard of when the office I was at, having such lengthy times off, things like that. So it did complicate both my academics, but also just my career process so far. In terms of my career, I would say no. I'm an aspiring commercial solicitor, future trainee solicitor, and it's a notoriously hard field to be in. And if anything, my sickle cell kind of made me think to not be in that career, but my drive and determination was the one that opposed that and was like, no, if I want to be a solicitor, then I'm going to be a solicitor regardless of my sickle cell. On the average day, it would either be, so on the minute scale, the minute side of the scale would be maybe just a bit of fatigue. I may have a flare up maybe in my hip, and that could affect my concentration a little bit. But other than that, then that's the minute scale. If it was go on the other side, it maybe be having to work from home or having to simply just not work at all as I'm in a full-blown crisis. So it varies. I think mainly for me would be my intake. So food I eat, I tend to eat a lot of like high energy foods, a lot of salads and things like that. I also keep my water intake very high as well, just to sort of keep me hydrated and alert. I've attended so many, almost a million open days, I think, for like law firms trying to get into a career in law. And when I did express my concerns about having sickle cell, there's simply times when I've been told, like I quote, then what, just don't even bother going into law then, or something like that. So I have been discouraged.
My name is June Okochi, and I am a program manager by background, and I currently work with the National Health Service. I did go to university, and I studied English language and literature, which wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do, but I kind of fell in love with it eventually. And eventually did my master's, so I have an MBA, and then decided that I was going to choose a career in health. Having sickle cell did have an impact on my career choices. So I obviously knew that I couldn't work in banking or the private sector, specific areas, because it was highly competitive, the pressure was probably a bit more, people want to see targets all the time, which is great, but I think I had to think really carefully about where I wanted to channel my career, so I chose the public sector.
My name's Chantel and I'm an admin assistant. I went to uni, studied for 4 years doing business studies, and I didn't really have any sort of career plans. I've just kind of fallen into what I'm doing now. But when I graduated, I kind of decided that I wanted to do something different. And so I moved to London, which is far from where I'm from, which is Bradford. And so I moved to London, did admin for a music distributors, and that kind of didn't work out because of my health. So I had to move back home. And that's kind of where I'm at the moment in my career. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do long-term wise, so it's kind of just a stopping gap at the moment. Sickle cell has complicated my career journey. It's kind of, I feel like it's on hold at the moment, on pause. I'm still not too sure what I want to do, but I know that it's not what I'm doing right now, and it's only because of the sickle cell that I'm not doing what I sort of want to do. So I want to be in London, working in the capital and just having fun in the capital like anyone else. So when I was younger, sickle cell didn't really affect me and didn't really affect any choices that I made. So I went to uni, and during the first year of uni, I didn't have any crises or anything, and I'd never really experienced what one was like. It was only when I got to my second year of uni. It was just before we come back off the Christmas holidays, and I had my first ever crisis, and that kind of made me stop and like pause and reflect on life and think, is this like what it's going to be like from now on with regards to education and employment? Yeah, so my first job was full-time, and that was just so difficult, especially because it was a small team as well. So we were kind of relying on each other, and then when I wasn't there, kind of things slowed down, or more pressure was put onto my managers to get the work done. But now that I'm doing part-time, it's a lot easier on my health.